Okay, so now that you've looked at the story of Buddhism and how it got started, we're now going to look at the Four Noble Truths, which it said that Buddha came to at the end of his sort of the journey and the story that we looked at. The Four Noble Truths are one of Buddha's key teachings. They explain the problems humans face and why. The truths also begin to offer some understanding into how humans can escape these problems. So, number one of the Four Noble Truths is called dukkha. Dukkha is the truth of suffering. The Buddha relates these truths to what he saw when he left the palace, so getting old, becoming sick, even dying. The Buddha taught that we don't always get what we want from life, and we just have to accept that. When we accept that, we stop trying to cling on to everything, and we stop trying to control everything, and then we can let go of things, just let life happen, and ultimately be happier. All human life involves suffering. This does not mean that humans are never happy. However, even things that do make us happy would eventually end. This is because the world is always changing, or another word for that is impermanent. So think of something in your life that you want, that you might want, but you can't have, at least not easily. Is the thing you want something material, something you could buy, for example? And do you think having that thing would make you happy for a long time, or do you think you would end up just when you've got it wanting something else? So number two of the Noble Truths is called Samudaya. The Buddha says that all of our worries and problems are ultimately caused by desire, wanting things. He stated that desire comes from one of three things, if not all of these things. Greed, which he represents usually in art by a rooster. Ignorance, which is not knowing any better. Delusion, you're deluding yourself. If I just have that thing, then I won't want anything else. That in art is usually represented by a pig. And the other thing desire comes from is hatred and destructive urges. You want it because someone else has it. Maybe you're resentful. And that in art is represented usually by a snake. The root of suffering, basically, he says, is craving. This is the idea that humans always want things, we're never satisfied, and this ultimately leads to suffering. In an impermanent world, we can't always get what we want anyway. So if you think of something you've ever gotten, something you wanted more than anything else, but which of the three desires did you think it actually came from? Was it greediness, not knowing any better, or was it because a bit full of hate? The third truth, Nirodha. The third truth that Buddha taught is that to get rid of desire, we have to detach ourselves from possessions. We have to let go. This means that we need to be liberated from any material goods. The Buddha taught that once that people got rid of their need for possessions, they would reach a state of mind called nirvana. You can only reach nirvana once you've gotten rid of greed, delusion, and hatred, the three things we talked about in the last slide. The Buddha said that when you've reached nirvana, you would have compassion for all living things. Ultimately, we can escape suffering if we learn to be content with what we have and stop craving new and more things. This state is known as nirvana. Buddha achieved this himself through his enlightenment. The last truth is Magga. The final noble truth is the Buddha's hope for the end of suffering. The Buddha said that there are 8 steps that we should follow in order to get rid of suffering. We can end suffering by following what Buddha described as the middle way. Now, that involves living a life which is somewhere between, so middle life, middle way, somewhere between the luxurious life that Buddha had in the palace and somewhere between that and the poor life he had as a holy man. So if you can follow that, you will reach nirvana and enlightenment. And we're going to learn more about the 8-step way in our next lesson. For this lesson, you now have some a reading comprehension to do. So if you turn to the next page, in your file, you're going to see a document to read and followed by some questions. And then there is also some extension challenge questions to really get into this and see what you've learned from these videos and the reading. Okay, so challenge yourselves and try and impress your teachers with as much as you can do. Okay, hope that was all okay for you guys. Any problems, use the chat. We'll talk to you then. Take care. Bye-bye.